Hi, Mark Rogerson here. You've tuned into this video. You're a business owner of a professional services firm and you're looking to grow your business. I've got up here some steps, 5 steps into how to grow your professional services firm business. We've also got a very detailed 50-page ebook on how to improve your professional services business. That should be popping up on the screen now to download. We've done some other videos around this work, and this is one of the last steps that we ration in improving your professional services business. We've done some other videos, and this is all contained in that ebook as well. So those steps, looking at calculating the capacity of what you can actually bill in your professional services firm, are looking at what you're actually billing versus the capacity of the firm, which is obviously are looking at how to reduce the gap, or what we call the black hole between capacity and billings. Are we looking at how to make sure you've got a lot of cash in your firm, or what we call basically improving financial position of your firm. And then sort of the last step is looking at 5 steps to growing. It's a really interesting thing, when you've got a professional services business, you've got a staff structure, and how do you know that structure is correct? If you've got 20 people on or 10 people on, is that 1 or 2 people too many, or 1 or 2 people not enough? Each year, most professional services businesses don't have ongoing revenue, so each year's a new year. You've got a client, you might have clients and networks and referral sources and all sorts of things, but you can't sit there and actually say what each client is going to generate each year. Usually, unless you're an accounting firm, which we are, but I'm talking here to legal firms, marketing firms, architects, IT businesses, etc., engineering firms. So your businesses in the main don't have ongoing contracts with clients or ongoing fee sources. So that means that each year you've got to go out fishing every year. So it's a really interesting thing to think about, is that each year you're effectively starting from zero, but you've got this structure. And if you have a look back over your financial statements and your performance over the last 5 years, each year it's been fairly consistent. So it might be flat, it might be slightly declining, it might be in growth by 5, 8, 10 or more %. But there's a relative trend there. You're not going from $1 million one year to $7 million the next year, back to $3 million a year after. And it's interesting to think back why, and the answer is your structure. So your staff structure, starting from the owner, so your staff structure of the owners and the staff you've got, and all that organisational architecture that hangs off it, that's the reason why your billings are consistent, because that's what you can generate. That's what your structure can generate in terms of billable, available man hours that actually get turned into invoice going out. So 5 steps to grow after all that. The first one is, and this here is in order, the first one is owner alignment, and it's a really big one. So if you're in business by yourself, it's up to you, but in saying that, you've got to want to grow, and you've got to go through the pain of growth, which there is a pain in growth. But if you're in a partnership, or you've got other owners in your business, to grow, all those owners have to be in alignment. And where this can come unstuck is where you've got a younger owner and an older owner perhaps, or a couple of older owners and a younger owner, whatever it may be. And those owners can't get in alignment because the younger person perhaps wants to grow and take over the world and etc. We can expand and do all this sort of stuff. But the owner ones are sort of in a different state. They're more comfortable. They want an easier ride. They don't want all the white water that comes with a lot of growth. Because in theory, to grow, which leads into the next thing, your team structure needs to grow. Okay, so first point is ownership alignment, and I go into quite a bit of detail. If you download our ebook, which will be on the screen now, we'll go into quite a bit of detail in each of these areas. So first one is owner alignment. So once you've got owner alignment in terms of wanting to grow, and then really understanding what that looks like when you do grow, and that may be that you have to give up a little bit of control, because your team structure then becomes important. If you're operating a professional services business and it's you and 10 staff, well, if you want to grow and double the size of the business, it usually means that your team structure is going to have to grow, or you need to bring in other owners. So if your team structure has to go, it means you're probably going to lose a bit of control. You might have to put managers in, so there's going to be a layer between you and your team, or a couple of layers between you and your team. So team structure is really important. As I mentioned at the start as well, the reason why you're billing about the same every year is because of your team structure and what it can handle. In professional services business, you don't usually have the same amount of staff and go from billing, like I said, $1 million one year and $4 million the next, then back to 2 the next. Okay, it's quite consistent. And the reason is team structure. So if you want to grow, you need to get the org chart out and sort of work out what you need to do to actually grow, what holes you need to fill. Third point is system and process. Now, system and process covers everything, but system and process and reads it in terms of workflow map. Once again, download the ebook. We go into quite a lot of detail on the workflow map, but the workflow map is the how-to guide in the firm. So it's sort of cradle to grave for a client. You know, when the client comes in with a particular task or a piece of work, what's the process for that work to go from the concept or the inquiry right the way through to a bill being set out and the debt collected. Okay, so the system and process is going to cover checklists and templates and how-to videos and all sorts of stuff in your firm. But my question to you is there a workflow map that allows you to be really efficient in your business? And if that's the case, that's one of the keys to being able to grow. Because if you want to scale, so if you want to put more staff on to grow, which is what you have to do in a professional services firm, I'm here to tell you, you need more staff to be able to grow. If you want to put more staff on, then your system and processes need to be able to keep up with that increase in staff. Because if you go from 10 staff to 15 staff or 15 staff to 25 staff, these systems and processes need to be able to keep up and cope with that increase in staff number. And if you've got little cracks now, by God, if you add in another 10 staff or you significantly increase your staff number, those cracks are really going to widen and expose you. You're going to get inefficiencies, you're going to get write-offs, you're not going to make any money, and it's going to be a really hard slog. So your systems and processes need to be Mickey Mouse, and you need to make sure you're constantly improving them. So having internal committees around the workflow map, etc., to have one best practice way to do a particular thing in your business. So step number 4, and by design, you might think, gee, we're 5 steps to growth here. Why isn't marketing sales number 1? And marketing sales is not number 1, it's number 4 because it's in order of importance. It's basically the last thing of importance. You know, like I said, you need to get your ownership structure right, your owners aligned, your team structure right and able to grow. Your systems and processes need to be able to cope with an increase in growth. And then your marketing sales. So marketing sales is really, your marketing effectively is generating leads to come into the firm, however that may be. That might be phone calls, email inquiries, referral networks, whatever it might be. That's your lead generation. And then your sales is actually how you convert that lead into an actual sale. Okay, and that's a really interesting process. With marketing, I always liken that every business, whether they know it or not, they've got 5 to several different types of areas of focus. So if you have a think through your business, you're going to have areas of focus, things that you may specialize in without really even knowing it, niches, if you will. But you really need to identify your areas of focus, and then how you contact or how you market or communicate to each area of focus. I mean, that's going to be different for each area because it might suit to do letters to some. It might suit to do marketing in terms of digital marketing to others. You might be doing AdWords. There's a whole lot of different things that can be done under this marketing umbrella, which, like I've mentioned, is detailed fairly heavily in the ebook. And then that leads me to the sales thing. Sales does lead into systems and processes because sales is really a process to follow. So if you've got a process there, you follow the process, you make the phone calls, you follow it up, and that should generate sales. The last step to growing your professional services firm, and for once not the most important step, and it seems to be one of those steps when all these things here are working really well, and that last step it's effectively the cherry on top, and that's when your staff, your employees have the ability to identify and sell on opportunities to clients. So they might be working on a job for a client, and they've found that there's an issue, or they've found an opportunity or something that hasn't yet been thought about, and they're able to, independently of you, they're able to contact that client, sell in the thing or add more value, which equals more dollars for you. And that's something that seems to happen, the ability of staff to identify opportunities and sell those in and articulate that value to your clients. That's something that happens when all these things here are working really well. So thanks for watching. I encourage you to download an ebook on how to improve your professional services firm, and hope you get something out of this video. Thank you.